Hello everyone. So today we'll be solving week 3 problem number 4 H index 2. Okay. So in this question you are given an array of citations which is sorted in increasing order and you have to calculate the H index of the researcher. So assuming that all these numbers denote the citations of each of the paper that the researcher is having, you have to calculate the H index. Now the definition of the H index is a number H is considered as the H index if you have H paper which are having at least H citations. Okay, and you have to take the maximum such number H. Okay, so I'll make you clear what H index is. It's not a very easy definition, or it's not a very intuitive definition. It's kind of confusing definition, but we'll just make sure that we understand in a better way what the H index is. Okay, so consider this array as given in the question. Now I ask you this question: whether do you have one research paper which is having at least one citation, or in simple words, whether you have one entry in this array which is greater than or equal to 1. So you can see that in fact we have these 4 entries in our array which are greater than or equal to 1. So we can say that yes, H index 1 is possible. That's a possible candidate for H index. Okay, let's consider H equals 2. So are you having two papers which are having the value which are having the citations greater than or equal to 2? That means are you having two values in this array which are greater than or equal to 2? So yes, in fact we have 3 values. So we have at least 2 values which are greater than or equal to 2. So H index 2 is also a possible candidate and H equals 2 is also a valid answer. But we have to take maximum such H. Okay, so let's consider H equal to 3. So are you having 3 values in this array which are greater than or equal to 3? So you can see yes, we have these 3 values which are greater than or equal to 3. So H equal to 3 is also possible as well. Okay, let's consider another value which is H equal to 4. So are you having 4 values in this array which are greater than or equal to 4? So the answer is no. We are only having these 2 values in this array which is at least or greater than or equal to 4. So H equal to 4 is not valid. Now the maximum such H that we can take is H equal to 3, and that becomes the citation. That becomes our H index. Okay. Now a straightforward solution is to actually start traversing array from the back. Okay. There are some things that you can notice here. What if I ask you that in just one shot, if you have to calculate whether H equal to 2 is possible or not, what you can do simply is you can just check the last second number from the end, which is this 5. If this number is greater than or equal to 2, and since this array is sorted in ascending order, we know that anyways all the numbers following this number are going to be greater than or equal to 2, right? So if the second last number is greater than or equal to 2, all the other numbers will be also greater than or equal to 2, and in that case H equal to 2 is possible. Okay. Similarly, consider H equal to 3. So consider the third number from the end. Okay. So what I'll be doing is I'll be just writing the indices from the back, and this is the first number, this is the second number, this is the third number, this is the fourth number, and this is the fifth number from the back. Okay. So this is from the back. Okay. This is the first number from the back, this is the second number from the back, third number, fourth number, and fifth number, and so on. Okay. And what we'll be doing is we'll be seeing whether if I want to make H equal to 1 as the answer, if I want H equal to 1 as the answer, that means if I have H index as 1, so just consider the last one entry. Is this greater than or equal to 1? Yes. So we just consider the last first entry. If that is greater than or equal to 1, so anyways that is possible that H equal to 1 is an H index. So that's a valid entry. Okay. Consider H equal to 2. So we'll be considering the last second entry and the value at the last second entry is 5. Since this value is anyways greater than or equal to 2, so all the other values which are the 2 values from the end are going to be greater than or equal to 2 as well, because this array is sorted in ascending order, right? So if this is greater than or equal to 2, that means that H equal to 2 is also valid. So yes, H equal to 2 is a valid H index as well. Consider H equal to 3. So if I consider the third number from the end, which is this, and if I consider the value at that location, the value is 3. What does that mean? That anyways for all the numbers that follow this 3 and including this 3, all the numbers are going to be greater than or equal to 3. But since I have a total of 3 numbers which are after this 3, so that means that H equal to 3 is also a valid H index as well. Okay, so that's what I'll be doing. Next, I'll be considering H equal to 4. So the fourth number from the end is this. So is this number greater than or equal to 4? No. That means that I don't have at least these 4 numbers which are greater than or equal to 4. So 4 cannot be the H index, and this is the point where I break my algorithm. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward approach which you can implement in O of n. But the question actually asks you for a better approach, which is using binary search. So first we'll be just directly implementing this approach using O of n, and then we'll be solving it using O of log n approach as well, which is using the binary search. Okay, so let's get to the code section and let's see how we can implement this O of n approach. Okay, so let's say I store my answer in the variable ans and I initialize my answer from 0. Okay, I start traversing the array from the end. So I equals n minus 1, I greater than equal to 0, and minus minus I. Okay, and I'll see if citations of I can be a possible h index or not. So if citations of I is actually greater than or equal to answer plus 1, so I'll just increment my answer. And if not, I'll just break. At the end, I just return my answer. Okay, so what I'm doing here again is, so I've initialized answer as 0. So let's say ans equals 0 is what I have. Okay, I'll see whether the first number, which is corresponding to the first entry, can this be the h index or not. So yes, this number is in fact greater than or equal to 1. So what I'll be doing is I'll be updating my answer to 1. Okay, next I'll be checking whether the next number from the end, which is this number, is this thing greater than or equal to 2. Yes, in fact this thing is greater than or equal to 2, so I'll be updating my answer to 2. I'll then be checking if this number is greater than or equal to 3. Yes, it is, so I'll be updating my answer to 3. I'll be then checking if this number is greater than or equal to 4. No, and this is the point where I break my algorithm and return the value of the answer that is stored. Okay, so this is what we have implemented here. Let's just try to run this code. So this anyways got accepted before, but yeah, and let's just try to submit this thing as well. Okay, so this gets accepted. Next what we'll be doing is we'll be seeing another approach, because if you read the question here, the follow-up is, can you solve it in logarithmic time complexity? So we'll be seeing the follow-up in which we'll be taking advantage of the pattern that emerges in this h index, because the array is sorted in ascending order, and we'll be seeing how we can use binary search in order to solve this question. So if you want a tutorial on binary search, if you're not very comfortable with binary search, I really recommend you to watch a binary search tutorial that's there on my channel. I'll put the link to the video in the description of the video, so you can just check out that particular video and you can get a good grip over binary search as well. So if you are stuck in implementing binary search problems, if you're not able to figure out how to apply binary search in which kind of problems, I really recommend you to watch that video, and that will be really helpful to you. Okay, so let's see the next approach, which is the O of log n approach that we'll be seeing next. So consider this array of citations here, which are having the value 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 4 and so on. And I've also written the back indices, like the back positions, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Now if you have to simply check what's going to be the h index in this case, you can see that the last one paper is having value greater than or equal to 1. So 1 is a possible candidate for h index. Last second paper is having a value greater than or equal to 2. So this is also possible candidate for h index. Last third one is greater than or equal to 3. So that's also possible. Last fourth one is greater than or equal to 4, so that's also possible. But the last fifth number here, that's not greater than or equal to 5. So this is where we stop our algorithm, and we can see that the h index that we are having is nothing but 4. Okay, so this is the approach that we have used before, which is the O of n approach, which is we just start traversing the array from the back and we just see whether a particular number can be h index or not. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be implementing the same using binary search, and we'll be applying binary search on the h index of the number that we are having. Okay, so we'll be applying binary search on h index, that is, we'll directly try to calculate whether a given number can be h index or not. Okay, so for example, in this case, let's say I start my binary search between 0, and since there are total of 13 papers, so I'll just start my binary search between 0 and 13. Okay, and in fact I'll start my binary search between 1 and 13. Okay, not 0 but 1 and 13. Okay, so we'll see what's in between 1 and 13. So definitely the middle value is 7, and we'll just see whether the 7th value from the end, which is this, which is corresponding to this value, is this value greater than or equal to 7 or not. Why? Because since I'm applying the binary search on h index, that means that whatever value I have here, I'm trying to see if that value can be a possible h index or not. Okay, so what I'll be doing is since mid is 7, I'll be checking whether the 7th value from the end, which is 4 in this particular case, can this be a valid h index or not. But since this 4 is not greater than or equal to 7, that is why this cannot be h index. So what I'll be doing is I'll be reducing my binary search, and instead of 1 to 13, I'll be doing the binary search from 1 to 6. 6 is what? 7 minus 1. So I'll be doing the binary search in between 1 and 6. Now the value between 1 and 6 is 3. And I'll be checking whether 3 can be a possible H index or not. So what I'll be doing for this is, I'll be going and checking the last third value, which is this 6. Is this value greater than or equal to 3? Yes. So 3 can be a possible H index. And yes, so we store that in our answer variable as well. So answer for now is 3. Okay. Next, what I'll be doing is, since I've already found 3 to be a valid H index, I'll be updating my binary search, and I'll now be searching between 4 and 6 instead of 1 and 6, because since I've already found my answer to be 3, so I'll be doing a binary search between 3 plus 1 and 6, which is 4 and 6. Okay, so the number in between 4 and 6 is 5. So I'll be checking whether 5 can be a valid H index or not. For that, I'll be going to the last fifth number, and I can directly do that in O of 1. Okay, so it's not that you have to iterate one by one. I'll be telling you how you can directly check the last fifth number. It's not a big deal, to be honest. Okay, so I'll be checking the last fifth number. Is this number greater than or equal to 5? No. So that's not a valid H index also. So what I'll be doing is, since 5 is also not a valid H index, so I'll be reducing my binary search between 4 and 5 minus 1, which is 4 again. Okay, so we'll just do the binary search between 4 and 4. Between 4 and 4. Between 4 and 4. And the middle value is also going to be 4, right? So what I'll be doing is, I'll be just checking the last fourth value, and I'll be seeing whether the last fourth value is greater than or equal to 4 or not. So I see that the last fourth value is 5, and yes, definitely 5 is greater than or equal to 4. So 4 can be my valid answer. So what I'll be doing next is, I'll be storing that value 4 in my answer variable, and this is the point where I also end my binary search as well. Okay, so this is mostly like a binary search tutorial, for which I really recommend you to watch the video, for which the link to which I have put in the description of this video. Okay, if you watch that binary search tutorial, this thing becomes much more easier, and you might be able to understand this thing in a much better way. Okay, so answer is 4, and this is where we stop our algorithm as well, and this is what we'll be implementing also. Okay, so in short, what you'll be doing is, you'll be applying the binary search between 1 and whatever is the length of the array, which is 13, and whatever is the mid value that you obtain, you'll be checking whether the given mid value can be a possible H index or not. For this value mid to be an H index, what you need to do is, you need to make sure that the last mid value, for example, if mid is 5, okay, so the last fifth value needs to be greater than or equal to 5. This is what you need to make sure. If that is possible, then we'll be looking to the upper side of this upper region from mid plus 1 to 13. But if that is not possible, that means if this mid is not a valid H index, so we'll be looking at the lower section, which is from 1 to mid minus 1. Okay, and we'll keep storing the answer as we obtain that a given mid can be a valid H index. So we'll keep storing our answer in our variable ans, and at the end we'll just return this answer. Okay, we initialize our answer with 0. Why? Because what if we are not able to find any H index after this iterations? That means that all the papers are having the citations of 0. If all the papers are having citation 0, that means that answer is going to be 0 in that particular case, and that's what we'll be initializing our answer with. Okay, so let's just quickly jump to the code section, and we'll try to implement the binary search approach now. Okay, so I've written down the steps for you, so you can pause the video here and you can try to implement this thing on your own. We'll just start the implementation now. Okay, so step 1 is, we initialize our low and up pointers to 1 and n respectively. So we'll just do that. So low equals 1 and up equals n, and we initialize our answer variable to 0. So answer is 0. Okay, and we'll just apply binary search for the H index. So while low is less than equal to up is the standard thing that we'll do in binary search. The step 4 is, we'll calculate whether the value, which is the midth value from the end, if that is greater than equal to mid or not. Now if you want to calculate the midth value from the end, that can actually be calculated as citations of n minus mid. So if you have to calculate the value, which is the kth value from the end, you are interested in finding the index of that particular value. Suppose this is the value which is located at a jth index from the beginning, and this is the kth value from the end. So what does that mean? That from this value to the last value, I'll be having a total of k numbers. Okay, what is the index of the last position? That is going to be n minus 1 definitely. Now if you take the difference of this n minus 1 and this k, and this j, sorry. So the difference is n minus 1 minus j. Okay. So what does that give you? So anytime you subtract two numbers, for example, if you subtract 10 minus 5, you get 5. What does that mean? That there are 5 numbers between 10 and 5 where you can include any one of the boundary. For example, if I just write these numbers 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5. Now how many numbers are there from 10 to 5? If you realize, those are upper value minus the lower value plus 1, which is 10 minus 5 plus 1. Okay, so these are the number of numbers which are there between any given numbers a and b. Suppose if a is larger than b, so the number of numbers which are there between a and b are a minus b plus 1. Okay, that's simple mathematics, you can see, because whenever you subtract, either you don't include the upper limit or you don't include the lower limit. But if you have to include both the lower limit and the upper limit, so you just subtract the upper limit from the lower limit and add 1. Okay, so here also what we'll be doing the same. We'll be subtracting this n minus 1 and this j, and we'll be adding plus 1. Okay, and that's going to be equal to k, because if you are saying that there are these k numbers in total, so n minus 1, which is the last upper limit, minus j, which is the lower limit, plus 1 is going to be equal to k. So I can just do some arithmetics and I can simply obtain that j is equal to n minus k. So just send that j there, k comes here. So j equals n minus k is what I obtain. What does that mean? That if I have to find the kth number from the end, the index of the kth number from the end is n minus k. And you can verify this as well. Suppose if you want to find the first number from the end. So what does this gives us? Since k is equal to 1, so j becomes n minus 1, which is actually correct. The first number from the end is actually located at n minus 1th index, right? That's correct. But if you want to find the second number from the end, so you just put 2 here, and that gives us j equals n minus 2, which is correct as well, because the second number from the end is nothing but located at this position n minus 2. What if you want to find the nth number from the end? So nth number from the end in an array of size n is nothing but the number located at the 0th index, right? So you just do j equals n minus n, and j equals n minus n is going to give you a 0, and this is in fact the correct, because nth number from the end is nothing but the number from the start, which is located at the 0th index. Okay, so that is why we have used citations of n minus mid, because this n minus mid is going to give me directly is directly going to give me the mth number from the end. Okay. So first I need to calculate mid. So I just calculate mid as low plus up by 2. I'll just check whether the mth value from the end is actually greater than equal to mid or not. If that is the case, then I'll be storing that in my answer, because what does that mean? That this mid is a possible candidate for my h index, and I'll be updating my low as mid plus 1, because I'll be looking at the upper section to find the h index now. If that is not the case, then I'll be doing up equals mid minus 1, because what does that mean? That since mid is not the h index, so I need to go to the lower section, and the way I go to the lower section is by reassigning up as mid minus 1, and at the end I just return my answer. So let's just try to run this code as well. Okay, so this works. Let's just try to submit this. Okay, so this gets accepted as well. Okay, so this second part is nothing but a binary search, and the complexity of this second part is going to be O of log n. If you really follow the tutorial on binary search, which I have put in the description down below, in case you are not very familiar with binary search, this part of the binary search is going to be really very easy. So I really recommend you to go and watch that tutorial. I hope this video has been useful for you. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestion, if you want me to make tutorial on any other topic of competitive coding, do let me know in the comment section as well. And thanks for watching. Take care.